me, Coach? Chief, are you still there? You broke up on us a little bit.
Huh?
You're good now. You're good now, Chief. We couldn't hear you earlier. You're breaking up, but you're good now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, let me know.
As I was saying, though, about our registration process, yeah, we use that, and most of us who are coming back to our fold now from our different clans, bands, tribes, groups, villages, associations, and all, we already know that we have Indian heritage. A lot of us have been knowing this all of our lives, I have been knowing this all of my life, that doesn't mean that I haven't dealt with the Moorish, the Jewish, or the Hebrew Israelite crowd, and the African American crowd, and all of those. Yes, I have. Because they're prevalent in our community as well. But I never consider myself to be anything as my self-identity as other than a native Black American. Today, I used to term American Aborigine or Native American Aborigine. So we can validate all of our people's ethnicities and all, and it's no problem for us to prove who we are by going back to our original records, which is our birth certificates are also a link to that, as well as those of our forebears, our foreparents and all. And that matches us up to the various Native American Indian roles that we're that we use. And the reason why we don't use a race code, because race is a general term. It doesn't mean anyone. Race, and it's defined by all scientists, simply means the color or complexion of a person's skin. That is not a valid or yes, identifier. Yeah, thanks, Chief. It's not a valid identifier, and it's not something that is the term I'm trying to use. It's not something that's indicative or indicative of who the person really is. Families, clans, bands, tribes, and ethnic groups are the way that most academically oriented peoples identify a person by. And so, while we're not trying to take anyone else's identity away from them, we don't want to go around and tell people, who are Caucasian, Arabs, Moors, Jews, or West Africans that they're not who they say they are, because a lot of them are. What we're doing is simply restoring our ethnic heritage in our political and social and economic and land and property rights, and the educational and cultural rights that goes along with that. See, because they're not the ones that lost their identity, by the use of religions, race, slavery, colorism, and all those things. We are the ones that lost our identity, all that, in many cases just actually robbed of it. So we're
and Chief, I'm glad that you actually went into depth and explained the difference between ethnic groups, ethnic codes, and races. Because as we all know, most of us know that race is a social construct, and it changes with the seasons, or like the seasons. So I'm glad that you definitely elaborated on that and explaining the difference between the two, and that you're not trying to convert, for lack of a better word, other people that are saying that they're West African or German or whatever the case may be. It's fine that there's that your main goal is to that the people that are trying to identify themselves, and through genealogy and through their birth records and the Indian records and records of vital statistics, that they're able to find out who they are and not trying to recruit other people from other ethnic groups. For those in the listening audience, in case you don't know, if you came tune in a little late, that we're actually interviewing Chief Redman with the Coosa Nation, and we appreciate the Chief for coming out and actually spending time out of his busy schedule to share with us. There were some questions that had come from some of those that were in the listening audience. Keith, and you could just stop me at any moment and let me know if you need to take a break, or we can go right into these questions and kind of elaborate on it. But one of the questions was your familiarity with DeSoto, and when we landed in the area, in the Coosa Mesa area, and the description of the people that lived in that area by his first-hand account. So can you kind of share with us the description of the people in that area through the eyes of DeSoto?
Yes. Well, DeSoto basically saw what Christopher Columbus saw. He saw people here that were with complexions ranging from the chocolate complexions to the caramel complexions. And some of them had straight hair, some of them had what we call the kinky hair. Some of them wore dreads, some of them were bald head, some of them just had straight hair. Men and women, and boy and girl children. So, and that's how we got the name Indians. And that's how we became red. Because from overseas, they had already started calling the different peoples over there red, browns, yellows, stuff like that. So a lot of that was important. Descriptions of the Cherokees and Muskogees, Coosa, are very accurate. One All right, can you hear me now? Okay, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear now.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to get to a good spot here. So I'll repeat some things. DeSoto, he gave a very good description of our peoples here. And that's why they confused us with the people of the continent of Asia. And specifically the subcontinent of Asia, that region known as India. Actually, that's the land of the Aboriginals there. They're known as the Indus Hindu people. So when he first landed here in Florida, there on the western coast, a little bit on the inside of the Gulf of Mexico, the descriptions that DeSoto gave of our people were a description that matched many of us today, who are known as the colored Negro, African American, black, mulatto, brown, red, colored, all of those names. So the fact of the matter is that the first contact with any nation in America is recorded in the Spanish records. And I was just mentioning this. I don't like to go too much into the political documents at this time, and I'm sure you all understand why. But the first nation that they contacted here in the Americas, from Puerto Rico and the islands all the way up to Florida, Lower Alabama, Mississippi, and parts of South Carolina, were actually called the Coosa Nation. And there are accounts of that today. And in fact, there are books on that subject today, actual books and all. And later on, as we start building our educational library, where we actually have it built, but when we start stocking it with the things, the cultural things that we need to know as far as identity of individuals, families, clans, bands, tribes, and all of our associations and all, you'll see that's the first nation that Europeans recorded having come into contact with. The very first nation, and we're talking about from Christopher Columbus expedition on up into Florida. Puerto Rico is Coosa territory. We know right in Panama today, one of the oldest province, and some say the largest. I don't know about the largest. I've had people who served in the military that actually lived in Panama. And but the largest province there is still known as Cherokee Province. That's the actual name of the province. So there are very serious descriptions of DeSoto. One of those, after DeSoto's initial visit in about 1540, after his initial visits here, he met with a Muscogee chief, a Chickasaw chieftain, and the Cherokee priest. You see, him and his officers and all. So a lot of these things are well recorded in the historical records. You see, and that's what I would like to say at this time. Now, as far as our clans and bands are concerned, we as the Coosa, we exercise our right of redemption, and I'll put that in words of the principal chief, this Blue Feather. Our goal is to restore our aboriginal clans, and that's the reason why we just don't go out recruiting anyone. We understand the difference between a group and an organization, and then the difference between a tribe and a nation. Because the Coosa is a nation that is composed of many tribes, which is, the ancestors that we descended from throughout the southern region of the pre-colonial USA. So that is yeah.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was finished. I just wanted to make sure that.
Yes, sir. I was just thanking you for going into depth with that, and because some seem to think that Coosa Mason is just tied into one geographic location, and that you clarified that it's really, although you are Coosa Nation USA, it really encompasses Central America, South America, the islands that we call the West Indies, and all into the Southwest as we get into Texas and into Arkansas as well. With that, I wanted to kind of, if we could go into about the name or the word Coosa. And I know a lot of people think that Coosa is a Cherokee word, but as those that continue to do their research, they're coming to find out that Coosa is actually older than the Cherokee language. Can you kind of go in a little bit in depth on that as far as Coosa and the origins of Coosa?
Yeah, sure. I want to start off by saying this. The Coosa, as we know it, was actually translated by the Spanish. The Cherokees actually called us the Anigusa, and it's spelled with the Guusa, Guuusah, or the